our sport, I fell short. What was going on? Now, every single person in this room has had to deal with setbacks, with disappointments, when times where you felt like you have done the work for some goal that has a lot of meaning for you, and you still came up short. But those are just moments where we're being tested of our commitment, isn't it? Are we just going to give up? Or are we going to stand back up, make the changes we need to, and take it away to the realization of those great dreams and those things that we set out to accomplish? But I thought I was ready that year. And I was so stuck in my disappointment. The following year, I did another Ironman, my 6th Ironman in Hawaii, but I didn't change anything about my training. You know the old saying, if you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to get more of what you already had. And that was not working. In my 6th Ironman, I finished in 5th place, farther out of the lead than any of my other finishes there in Kona. I was at a crossroads. 6 attempts, 6 years, 0 victories. My friends and family, depressed, everybody was saying, you know what? You're not cut out for that race. It's too long, it's too hot, there's something about that island you just don't mesh with. Go to the other places where you have proved that you can be a champion, where you have proved you can beat Dave Scott and everybody else. And I was this close to saying, yeah, you guys are right. You know, at some point maybe you are beating your head against the wall. But I had not had my best race there yet. And that was a commitment that I needed to complete. To go back to Kona until at least I had my best Ironman. Walking the marathon is not my best Ironman. Maybe my best is not enough to become a champion, but I needed to go back one more time. But if I was to go back, I knew that it had to be on very different terms. Now, if things are not working in your racing or really in your life, there really are only two kinds of adjustments that we can make, two kinds of changes that we can make. One is the way we do the work, do our training. The other is to look inside and ask that question, what is it about me that might be holding me back from the success that I'm after? That human element. But I didn't want to look in there first. So the first thing I did before I started training for Ironman number 7 was to look at my training. And I saw, you know, Saturdays I'm biking 6 hours, Sundays I'm running 2 or 3 hours. That's a big double. But you know what? I was falling apart in the Ironman between hours 6 and 8. Ironman is a one-day race, not a 2-day race. And at hour 6 at the end of the bike, when I got off the bike, I had trained my body to be ready to go get a big lunch and take a nap. Dave Scott was not going to stick around while I was napping in the Ironman. I needed to change my training so that it reflected the work that the Ironman needed me to do to be prepared physically. So in 1989, as I prepared for my 7th Ironman, I did 5 Ironman training days where I would swim 30 minutes, get out of the water, bike 7 hours, get off my bike, and run 30 minutes. That's an 8-hour training day, and that's the kind of training the Ironman wanted me to do to get my body physically ready, physiologically ready for it. Those 5 extra days only added 10 extra hours of training onto my entire season. That's less than 2 minutes a day. Would you be willing to work less than 2 minutes a day, if done in the right way, to achieve the greatest dream you have for yourself? Absolutely. But I knew that I needed to look inside and ask myself, what is it about me that told me back from the success that I'm after? And so I just took a moment one day and reflected on the Ironman, and I realized, I'm afraid of that race. It's too long. First of all, I mean, really, who wants to go that far? It's too hot. Running a marathon at 90 degree heat, I was afraid of that. I ended up in the hospital 2 years earlier. I was afraid of the wind. It could be a headwind all the way up to the turnaround at Hawaii. And then when you see that little sign that says turn around, so does the wind. Yeah, that's freaky. That scares me. And I was afraid of Dave Scott. He was so strong. And I could not see myself winning the Ironman unless he had a bad race. But Dave Scott was not going to have a bad race in the Ironman. He was always going to have his best day. So I thought I have to change these things. So I did my bike rides as much as I could into headwinds to show myself, yeah, I can do this. I'm strong enough, I can take it. I did my long runs in the middle of the day when it was the hottest, not in the morning or in the evenings when it was cooler. You know, my training partners hated me, but I said, this is what we need to do if we're going to have our best race in the heat of the Big Island of Hawaii. And I practiced, at least in my mind, what I was going to say to Dave Scott when I saw him at the start line. Dave, I hope you have your best races here because I'm going to beat you. And that was easy to say in my living room. 5 minutes to 7, my 7th Ironman, I felt like I was ready. I was looking around, finally I spotted him. Dave Scott was over to the side, warming up. I backstroked over, pretending like I didn't see him. When I got right up next to my turn, and I go, oh, Dave, have a great race. And I stuck with him like glue. The Canyon Center, we headed out for 2.4 miles of swimming. I stayed on his feet the entire swim course. Every 3 or 4 minutes, I would just tap his foot to let him know. I knew he hated that. We biked 112 miles of inside of each other. We ran the opening miles of the marathon at an incredibly fast pace, 6 minutes or better. We headed out onto the lava fields where the real meat of the marathon takes place, about the half marathon point. Once again, we took the lead from the last person who had been ahead of us. And we were on a pace that was going to shatter the world's record. Only this time, Dave was the guy who was feeling stronger. He upped his pace to a 6-minute mile. I began to fall back. Finally, he slowed down to regroup. I caught back up to him and I go, dear God, do not let him do that again. He did it again, only this time he did not back off. And it totally blew my mind because I realized he was going to hold a 6-minute pace for the closing 13 miles of that marathon. Nobody had ever gone that fast before. And then I just totally lost it. And my mind went crazy with all that kind of stuff that does not help out in those type of situations. Dave, he's so strong, he's so fast, he's won these things, there's just no way I can beat that guy. I just want to quit, I am such a loser. Telling yourself that you're a loser does not fortify you with the strength to maintain your champion. In moments like that, it's too late to go back and ask yourself, should I have done more training or less training? It's certainly too late to go back and ask myself, should I have rinsed my brothers? The only thing we can change are the thoughts we're telling ourselves in those moments. And in that moment, I couldn't find a positive thought to save my life. Finally, it became so difficult to match Dave's pace that I couldn't even hold on to the negative thoughts, and my mind finally just went quiet.